Om Shanti, welcome.
Om Shanti, good evening.
Good morning.
Om Shanti, good evening.
Om Shanti. Om Shanti, good evening.
Om Shanti, good evening.
And good morning to those in India. Today, we're looking at journey outwards. We have seen journey inwards, journey upwards. We've learned who we are, a tiny point of spiritual light. We wake up in our spiritual reality and we realize that we have a spiritual dimension we call as our home. And when we journey up there, we feel the presence of the divine God, the source, the supreme light. And the more I experience that connection, that love from the divine, that helps me to transform internally. All the negatives and scars that have been accrued on the soul as layers, they get eliminated. So today, we'll look into the journey outwards. Like when we look into the external, so when we have realized ourselves and God, and when we then come into this physical reality, then one thing that is different between the spiritual reality and the physical reality is time. So the spiritual reality is timeless. There's no time there. There's no time there means that we're completely in that dimension. There's nothing called time. And so in that consciousness where we are timeless, we are completely beyond the influence of the physical story, to then when we come into the physical story. So when we are on the journey outwards in our interaction with the story, it is important that we realize time. We say that our thoughts are linked with time. If my sense of time is a broader sense of time, then my thoughts will be slower. If I have trained my mind to think in the larger perspective, then my thoughts also become slow. And they're more based in the truth, the reality. And any vice or any negativity, if we look into it, they are based in short time. The moment we look into instant gratification, it could be through our senses or through, when we say greed or attachments, it's all about that instant feeling high, that stimulus. That is all. We say role consciousness. But then our sense of time, today we'll look into the story of who we are and why we are here. What is the larger scheme of things? As a child, I used to wonder, where was I before this body, before this life? And where will I go after? And what is the continuity? What is happening in my life? Why is it happening? The family that I am with, the friends, every situation that comes my way. What is the design behind it? Is it by chance? Is it by coincidence? The people that I meet, that I interact with. Or is it a subtle energy that is governing everything that is happening to us in our life? And so in the journey outwards means our interaction with this drama, the story of life, this realization of time, of my actions, of my powers are very important. And so self-realization, God realization, and then these components in Raja Yoga, time realization, karma, action realization, and then powers, how I can use the spiritual powers in interacting with the external world. So today we will have a glimpse into all these aspects. So maybe we can share. So the journey outwards. So how I can integrate truth in my actions to experience a life of unconditional happiness. So this truth that we have learned, how to integrate it in my actions. That's what we call as, many times we call it as karma yoga. Karma yoga means when I'm coming into actions, I'm in touch with the eternal truth. And I'm bringing that eternal true energy into my actions. And when I do that, it's like I begin to experience happiness. Happiness is based on my actions. The more pure my actions become, the more selfless and unconditional my actions become. Then to that extent, I experience happiness in my life. So as we talk about time, just look into the eternal perspective of time. We all know that everything in life is a cycle. So we have a cycle of day and night. Right now it's evening, and then after a few hours it will be night. But after night comes the day, and after day comes the night. It's a cycle. When there is night, we're not afraid what will happen. Now everything is so dark, but we know there is a morning that is waiting. And every morning has a dawn also. There's a dawn and then a dusk. Right? In the same way, there is a cycle of human life. So as a soul, we take birth, we grow up in our lives, grow old, then one day we leave the body. And then we take another costume. So whatever actions we perform, relationships we have, it is all for this one birth. In the next birth, we have a new family, new relatives, everything new. So this is the cycle. Human life is a cycle. The same way, seasons, the cycle of seasons. So right now is summer, then we'll have fall, right? Then winter. And then after winter, there is spring. And so this is such an amazing transition that happens. So everything is cyclic. In science, we study that for a system to sustain itself, it has to be in a cycle. And when everything is cyclic, this eternal journey or the eternal cycle, we say, of time is also cyclic. Means it repeats. So we will look into what is the day of humanity and what is the night of humanity in general. What is the spring of humanity? What is the fall? What is the winter? What is the summer? All the different seasons. And it all applies to the consciousness now. As souls, we are here, but this is the journey that we're all through. And then the realization, what is the present time? What is this time that we are in? And if we look at the last decade or 2-3 decades, everything is shifting exponentially. Time is changing so rapidly. And so once we realize what time it is now, my actions, I'm able to integrate that truth in my actions. So time is linked with transformation. And the scientific law that governs this is the law of entropy, which says that everything goes from ordered state to a disordered state. So every system goes to an increasing entropy, which means that everything new gets old. And so this law of entropy also governs the way we are acting on this stage together, the interplay of consciousness and matter. And in this interplay, we say there are 3 elements. 3 elements. One is the soul, one is the nature or the matter, and the third is the divine God. So we'll look into how these 3 together, we come into this beautiful play of life. So if we look at just this image over here, how this eternal journey, first there is the spring, then the summer, then the fall, then the winter. And then there is a time that is the time of transition or transformation. And how realizing that at the present we are in that time of transition allows me to transform. So time, transition, transformation are all linked. Are all linked. So let us now experience, go to this journey of, we'll start this journey as souls, spiritual beings. We are in our home of light. And from there we begin our journey. And what happens when we come into the physical story, the world. So watch a little clip and let us all experience as we are watching that we are going through this journey together. We are all the voyagers.
Once upon a time, say 5,000 years ago in the past, or perhaps the future, in a different universe than ours, or a different dimension, there lived a race of beings so pure that they existed in a state of total peace. Their world was very different from ours, where the father of the race and his children lived in the form of light. It was a world of light. And then one grandchild said, "I want to explore another world." The father looked gently at his loyal child and said, "Yes." As the souls orbited their new world, surveying its many delights, they realized it was even more wonderful than their wildest dreams. It was truly a paradise, a golden age. One day, some 2,500 years after the founding of the Golden Age, an event took place which was to rock the entire order of peace and happiness. Souls descended into body consciousness and began to create different religions. Trapped inside their costumes of changing time and space, the voyagers entered the Iron Age, where they were enveloped by the darkness of ignorance. As things got worse and worse, the father decided to retrieve them, to teach them to fly again, and to bring them back into the ocean of peace. Now the play is over. And again the same child thought, "I want to explore another world." The father looked gently at the loyal child and said, "Yes." And so the play begins again.
This is our journey. And as spiritual beings, we were in our home of light, without a body, without anything of the story. And from there we came to this earth to begin our roads. We went through the golden age, the silver age, where the consciousness was completely pure. Like we looked into the first lesson, we were naturally in our spiritual reality. We didn't create a gross or a physical reality or a dream reality. We were naturally in that mode of soul consciousness. But then, as time passed by, slowly we forgot ourselves. We forgot that we are actually on a journey through time. We forgot that we are actually spiritual beings and that this body is a costume. We started to create limited identities based on the body because we forgot ourselves. And so if we look at the root of every problem, every sorrow, every attachment in the world today, not just in my mind, but everywhere, the root is this, is that we, as friends on the spiritual journey, we have forgotten that we are on a spiritual journey. We are spiritual beings. We have created limited identities. And now, what is the present time? And this ignorance led us to the ignorance, means the Iron Age, where the consciousness is completely perturbed by the story. And we created different religions. And many times we started to have conflicts that raised more problems than solutions. And so this realization that right now is the time, the present time, is the time for transformation. We realize that at the end of the cycle, we souls have now been through this entire journey, and right now is the time for transition, to make the new from the old. So we call it the confluence age, the diamond age. Just like diamonds are formed under intense heat and pressure, in the same way under intense, it's very incognito. It's like all of us who are getting this enlightenment realization. We are on this journey, the confluence age together. This happens very rapidly. Just like butterflies. It's a butterfly, that's life of transformation. It goes through that cocoon where this transformation takes place. So as spiritual beings, we are in that phase collectively. This is how diamonds are formed. This is the time when God plays a part. So we have three entities, the soul, this matter, nature, and God. So the role of God is right now to transform the Iron Age into the Golden Age. This is the time when God is accessible to us. The moment we realize ourselves, we are able to connect and communicate with God and use His love to transform ourselves. So this is the time when God plays a part. And this is a hidden time. It's only when I realize that this is the time for transformation can I transform. In the world outside, it's still the Iron Age. We call it the age of illumination. Illumination. Have illuminated. And interestingly, so from the soul world, right, souls continue to come down. So a few souls come at the beginning of the golden age, and they will continue to come down until the end of the cycle. And so that's why the population also increases. If you look at the population of the world, it keeps on increasing because new souls are coming down. And this cycle, which is of, we say, the Sato Pradhan, Sato Rajo, and Tamo, which is of complete truth, then diluted and diluted, and then complete falsehood. It happens for every soul. And souls ultimately get the role they want. This is how this play, this life, eternal story is designed. And so this is where we are at. We are taking a leap, a jump from the old to the new. And so internally, so I have to let go of the role conscious, the old negative ways of being, and jump to a soul conscious reality in a very real way in my life. So from old to the new. So we also call it the leap age because we're taking a leap, a jump. In many traditions, we have this symbol which is called swastika. And swa means the self and astika means to know. So understanding my story allows me to know myself completely. So I know I am a soul on this journey through time. And this is the time of transformation. And then we look into the second aspect. We looked into time, that this is the time of transformation. Then we look into karma. Karma means how this whole play works. This whole play is designed is based on the law of karma. Like in physics, everything is governed by laws of nature. We have the law of gravity, we have the law of conservation of energy, and everything happens according to that law. And so in this life, as we souls move through this journey through time, everything is based on the law of karma, which is the law of cause and effect. So the energy that I send out, same energy I get in return. It's the law of karma. And so we look into, as a spiritual being, a soul, I come into connection with various aspects in this life. And with every aspect, then I have a relationship of karma. So first is my mind. So I have a karmic relationship with my mind. Means the kind of thoughts that I feed in, the kind of inputs that I give to my mind. The mind also responds in the same way. Then I have with my body. If I take care of the body, if I use the body in a worthwhile way, then the body also stays healthy. Relationships. If in my relationships, I only have the exchange of love, respect, and happiness, then that is what comes back. If there are any attachments or expectations or dependencies, right? Then I'm at the receiving end of that energy as well. With matter, everything as spiritual beings, we are interacting with matter. And so the more we treat matter with that respect, the more matter also treats us accordingly. we have our karmic account with our material possessions. How am I utilizing them for the service of humanity, or for to just to meet my greed, for example, or attachments? Then I have a karmic account with the time. If I use time in a worthwhile way, then according as per the moment, the time will also come to my rescue. Many times we say that this thing happened at the right time. So nothing is by chance. Everything is based on the law of karma. So at this present time, when we have realized that this is the time of the confluence age, then we realize it's the time to create a positive karmic account. We call it sukarma, which is, we say, remembrance in action. We call it karma yoga. Remembrance in action. How I integrate remembrance means I am a soul, we are all brothers, remembrance of the divine and that brotherly vision as I am performing actions. So this allows me to uplift my karma, my actions. And because when we do it collectively, then we are creating the goal, my inner powers. My inner powers. So when I am soul conscious and God conscious, so all the powers of the divine, I begin to experience. And so we have these 8 powers, what we call as the master powers. And they're symbolized with like a tortoise. Just like a tortoise, anything happens, it's able to retrieve its sense organs and come into its shell. In the same way, with this practice of meditation, I'm able to, whenever it's needed, I withdraw myself. And the power to pack up, I pack up any waste thoughts, I pack up any negativities, and I'm ready, ever ready on this field of action, of service. Then there's the power to tolerate, means if I am at the receiving end of something negative, I'm able to share a positive energy. Like this boy throwing a stone at the mango tree, but the tree gives mango in return. Power to accommodate means I'm able to accommodate everyone's nature, even if they have weaknesses, but I accommodate. Just like an ocean accommodates all the debris from the rivers, I'm able to have an oceanic mind and heart. And power to discern, where I'm able to discern the right from wrong, what is true, what is false. So this needs that clarity of the intellect. And the power to judge, when I'm able to make decisions in life. I'm able to judge my strengths and my weaknesses. I'm able to make decisions. Just like a tortoise, anything happens, it's able to retrieve its sense organs and come into its shell. In the same way, with this practice of meditation, I'm able to, whenever it's needed, I withdraw myself. And the power to pack up, I pack up any waste thoughts, I pack up any negativities, and I'm ready, ever ready on this field of action, of service. Then there's the power to tolerate, means if I am at the receiving end of something negative, I'm able to share a positive energy. Like this boy throwing a stone at the mango tree, but the tree gives mango in return. Power to accommodate means I'm able to accommodate everyone's nature, even if they have weaknesses, but I accommodate. Just like an ocean accommodates all the debris from the rivers, I'm able to have an oceanic mind and heart. And power to discern, where I'm able to discern the right from wrong, what is true, what is false. So this needs that clarity of the intellect. and the power to judge when I'm able to make decisions in life. I'm able to judge my strengths and my weaknesses. I'm able to make decisions in life
do
and
not
follow through.
appreciate you kicking me from this meeting. You know, I know how to join back meetings. I can actually find our IP. My dad is actually, so you know, good luck with that. I can just join back right now. It's not like you're doing anything. You know, you're really not.
So then the power to judge, and then there is the power to face. The power to face is when I'm able to face the hardships in life and maintain the attitude of soul consciousness. Even when there's some challenging situation, I'm able to stay in my reality and have the power to face a situation. Then we have the power to cooperate. The power to cooperate is when I'm able to work in teams, when I'm able to see everyone with a vision of love and respect. So this is how I emerge my innate powers through the practice of Raja Yoga meditation. So what we have learned is in our journey outwards, this realization of time, the present time, karma, actions, and my innate powers. And as we look into the journey of self-transformation, so what supports? There's some disciplines that help us support this practice of meditation whilst living with our home, with our family, whilst handling our responsibilities. So one is, we call it contemplation. Contemplation is, we say, regular daily spiritual study that provides the right quality of food for our mind and intellect. So just like churning the milk gives butter, in the same way, churning spiritual knowledge gives us the power to deal with day-to-day situations. It's like contemplation. So I have this ingredient of contemplation in my life. I take time out to contemplate the spiritual knowledge. And then there is meditation. So meditation, the time for it, we say early morning, evening, before going to bed. It's all good times for meditation. Also during the day, to take a moment or so for traffic control. Means I control my thoughts, flow of thoughts, come back to the eternal consciousness, and then come back into actions. And the third is, we call it application, which is like, how do I apply what I am learning in my day-to-day life, in my relationships? How to be soul conscious in all relationships. We have a responsibility to our immediate relationships, family, colleagues, and friends. And it is in these relationships that our ability to apply what we're learning spiritually will also be tested and strengthened. So whoever we are living with and we are spending time with, coming into connection with, it's also time to apply our spiritual knowledge and practice of meditation. And then there is contribution, means how to use my thoughts, words, and actions to bring benefit to my family, community, and the world. So in my journey outwards, when I have these four pillars very strong: contemplation, meditation, application, and contribution. We also in Hindi call them as Gyan, Yog, Dharana, and Seva. When all these pillars are strong, then I can be very stable. And then I can really get deeper into my journey of self-transformation. So we'll watch a little clip where we'll look into how this entire spiritual movement is based in that seed, planting the right seed of actions in soul consciousness, in God consciousness, and how it leads to a new world.
Nature holds great secrets within. As we travel the globe, we discover evidence of nature's awe, beauty, and presence. From a humble seed, a mighty sequoia will stand taller than a 35-storied building, exemplifying nature's grandeur and magnificence. Such greatness is born out of a seed which weighs less than a gram. As we journey through life, we learn many things. We are taught how to become engineers, accountants, and doctors. We even study the intricate details of how the heart circulates blood. But not much importance is given to teach us how to tap into our inner resources and handle the emotions of our heart. And there comes a moment in every individual's life when we realize that academic brilliance and accolades are not enough to manage life. And then we ask ourselves the right question. Who am I? What is my purpose on this earth? How can I cope with challenges? How can I change my life and my world? It was to answer these very questions and to complete the puzzle of life that the Brahma Kumaris World Spiritual Organization was founded. Like the sequoia tree, whose far-reaching presence stems from a tiny seed, the story of the Brahma Kumaris and its growth begins with a spiritual seed planted into the heart of one man, Dada Lekraj. He soon became known as Brahma Baba. And for him, that seed was experienced as a gift from the divine. A seed that he made a conscious effort to nourish and sustain. This led to the birth of an organization, the story of the Brahma Kumaris, planting a seed of change.
And so this whole movement is to plant a seed of change. First in my mind, for myself, in my life, and then for the world. And so this university was founded in 1936 by Brahma Baba. That's why the name also Brahma Kumaris, as children of Brahma. Inspired by a series of revelations, Brahma Baba dedicated the last 33 years of his life to bringing into reality his vision of people of all cultural, economic, and religious backgrounds coming together to rediscover and develop the spiritual dimension of their lives. So that's when Brahma Baba lived a beautiful life of surrender, a life of humility, a life of giving and love. He lived a very simple life, inculcating the spiritual values in his thoughts, words, and actions. And in 69, he left his mortal coil to the angelic realm. And since then, the organization has grown a lot. And in the US also, we have a lot of centers. Our headquarters internationally are in Mount Abu in India. And then we have, in every continent, we have a lot of centers. In America, we are headquartered in New York. And we have retreat centers at Peace Village in New York and Anubhuti in San Francisco. And here in Indianapolis, we have another chapter of Brahma Kumaris. And we have a small family. We meet every day to learn how to plant the seed of change in our lives. And you're most welcome to join us. Om Shanti. Thank you. Om Shanti. Thank you, everyone, for your time and presence. Love to hear from everyone. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Thank you, Sarabhai. Today it's a really detailed, you really summarized so well. So it's journey outward to the main question is who we are and why we are here. And essence is first one is self-realization, God realization, and then time realization. So once we know what time we are, then we can understand completely like now what is my role now and where we are going ahead and what happens next. So time realization is very, very important. And today you really summarize this whole cycle, the 4 yug, 4 A's plus one important is the diamond age, which is Sangam Yug. And then you also explain so nicely the karmic account, karmic law of karma. So how to use this karmic account, and also the important is how to use karmic account with time so that we can perform every action on remembrance so that we can create a good karma, which is called sukarma. And this will uplift our current karma. And this is very important. And then our 8 powers, what are the 8 powers and how we can utilize that. And then our 4 subjects, the contemplation, meditation, application, and contribution, Jnana, Yoga, Dharana, and Seva. So it's basically planting a seed to change our life. So self-transformation and then world transformation and contributing for creating a new world. So we are jumping from old world to new world, from body consciousness to soul consciousness. Thank you, Sarabhai.
Thank
Very,
you.
very good.
Beautiful.
Om Shanti.
Thank you. Thank you. Om Shanti. Any other inspirations?
Sarabhai, I wanted to add one other thing. So
Yes.
if we do like think about 3 dots, I am soul, which is a dot, and God realizing is 1 second dot, and also drama time is also dot. 3 dots is like the final essence of our Gyan knowledge.
Right.
If we know 3 dot, then we know everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Any other inspirations? So great. So the thought was to just, it allows us to get a little glimpse and revision of our foundation, of the basics, and maybe a few of the evenings we'll try and take up few more aspects and go in depth of a few more aspects in the next few weeks. So would that be fine with everyone? Maybe this was an experiment. We thought of doing 3 days in a row. You know, sometimes it's not that easy for everyone to come every day, but then we'll try to do maybe once or twice a week some other discussion so that we can strengthen our foundation even better. Right. Any questions or any other thoughts anyone would like to add?
Om Shanti, Brother Sarah.
Om
Thank you
Shanti.
again for presentation. Just want to make a suggestion in as far as preparing another class. If maybe when this had to do with yesterday's class, when you mentioned the 3 things when we connect with God, the three reasons why we want to do that: to recharge our spiritual battery, to align our thoughts with God's thoughts, and then to burn old negative impressions.
Mm.
That's what I'd like to learn more about, and how
Sure.
that's associated with the sanskars and that.
I think the other day, was it last week, or when we were discussing 20 types of old sanskars that we have to burn and just completely shift the energy. So maybe we can also look into that, the process, and maybe we can take up a few sanskars and look into the depth of it, how we can work on different aspects. Very nice.
Yes, that would be very nice.
Thank you for that suggestion. Very nice. Sister Joy. Acha.
भाई ओम शांति।
Om Shanti, Bhai Ji. Om Shanti.
तो आप इंग्लिश में बोलना पड़ेगा ना?
नहीं हिंदी में बोल सकते हैं जी, कोई बात नहीं जी।
अच्छा, तो आपने आज बाबा ने जो बात बोले, ये तो एक रियलाइजेशन कोर्स है, राजयोग का एक रियलाइजेशन कोर्स का बारे में सब हमने जाना, जैसे कि आपका इंटीग्रेटिंग ट्रूथ क्या है इन योर एक्सपीरियंस ऑफ लाइफ, आवर थॉट्स कैसे अपना जीवन में लिंक जुड़ा हुआ है, थॉट्स वो भी जाना, और साथ साथ हमारा जो टाइम ऑफ ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन, लाइक द टाइम ऑफ ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन, जैसे आपने बताया कि साइकिल ऑफ डे एंड लाइट, द साइकिल ऑफ ह्यूमन लाइफ, द साइकिल ऑफ सीजन्स, इंटरनल साइकिल ऑफ टाइम, और बताएं द लॉ ऑफ एंट्रोपी जो बताएं, जैसे कॉन्शियसनेस ऑफ मैटर, जैसे नेचर मैटर रिफ्लेक्ट्स ह्यूमन कॉन्शियसनेस वगैरह वगैरह, ऐसे और भी बताएं एवरीथिंग, और बताएं जैसे लॉ ऑफ कर्म बताएं, लॉ ऑफ कर्म में माइंड मैटर बॉडी रिलेशनशिप, इसके बारे में कैसे हम हमारा रियलाइजेशन इन आवर लाइफ कैसे होता है, लॉ ऑफ कर्म से माइंड मैटर बॉडी एंड रिलेशनशिप की, और रिलेशनशिप जैसे लव रेस्पेक्ट एंड हैप्पीनेस में बताएं, और मटेरियल पोसेशंस के बारे में बताएं, टाइम रिमेम्बरेंस इन एक्शंस बारे में बताएं, और हम इमर्जिंग माय इनर पावर्स कैसे बताएं, जैसे कि पावर टू विड्रॉ, पावर टू कोऑपरेट, पावर टू फेस, पावर टू जज, पावर टू डिस्क्रिमिनेशन, power to accommodate, power to tolerate, power to back up, journey of our self transformation। पर इन सब बारे में बहुत सारे बातें बताएं जिससे हम लोग इस साइकिल में हमारा लाइफ को टर्निंग कर रहे हैं, जा रहे हैं, आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। क्या बोलते हैं उसको, साइकिल जो हो रहा है हमारा लाइफ, जिससे साइकिल जिससे डे एंड लाइट होता है, इसी तरफ हम लोग आगे परिवर्तन हो रहा है। तो इसके बारे में बाबा ने और बताया कि जैसे ज्ञान योग धारणा सभा, कॉन्टेम्प्लेटेशन 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 और मेडिटेशन एप्लीकेशन कंट्रीब्यूशन, ज्ञान योग धारणा सभा के बारे में ये सब ज्ञान बाबा ने जो बताया। तो इसके साइकिल में हम सब लाइफ में आज तो ना लाइफ चल रहा है, रोटेशन हो रहा है। तो इसके लिए हमको दो तरह का चीज देखने को मिला, एक है स्वास्तिक, एक है आस्तिक। स्वास्तिक मतलब आपने समझाया तो सेल्फ रियलाइजेशन, आस्तिक कुछ जो जानने के लिए जिज्ञासा हमारे अंदर में, जो जाना नहीं है, जो चीज जानना का जो है, जो चीज वास्तविक है, आत्मा के बारे में, आत्मा के बारे में जो नहीं जानना है उसके से। और और बाबा ने क्या बताया, बहुत सारे बात बताए, टेंडेंसी ऑफ हैबिट। ओम ओम शांति भैया, थैंक यू भैया।
Very nice.
ओम शांति।
Nice, very Om Shanti. Thank you. So thank you all the angels for joining. And tomorrow we have a special class by Sister Hansa from California. राजेश पेन है, राजेश पेन हिंदी में वो क्लास कराएंगे, दीदी मनमोहिनी। दैट विल बी सेम टाइम। कल तो मुरली कल थोड़ी जल्दी करेंगे। राजेश पेन आप बोलना चाहेंगे? ओम शांति।
शांति। वेरी नाइस क्लास। 3 डॉट्स जो बाबा हमेशा कहते हैं, आत्मा, परमात्मा, ड्रामा। और ड्रामा कितना सुंदर कि भगवान आकर हमें दृष्टि देते हैं और दृष्टि से निहाल करके हमारे विक्रम विनाश करते हैं। और जिससे ही जैसे जैसे विक्रम विनाश होते जाते हैं, हमारे अंदर अष्ट शक्तियां बढ़ती चली जाती हैं। और जैसे जैसे अष्ट शक्तियां बढ़ती हैं हमारे अंदर, और हमारे अंदर वो सारे गुण जो बाबा हमें देना चाहते हैं वो बढ़ते जाते हैं। तो कई बार जगदीश भाई ने भी अपनी क्लासों में कहा कि जब बाबा हमें दृष्टि देते थे ड्रामा में, ये पार्ट है कि भगवान आके हमें दृष्टि देते हैं, और जब वो दृष्टि देते तो गहरे उतर जाए, ऐसा उनकी दृष्टि होती थी। तो जैसे भाई जी कहते थे कि दृष्टि लेने का दृश्य सामने आता तो बाबा के लाइट तो हम देखते, बाबा के चित्र हर एक कमरे में लगे रहते। आजकल कला का विकास हुआ, अच्छे अच्छे चित्र बनते, कैमरे भी अच्छे आ गए। हम बाबा के सामने बैठे, बाबा हमको दृष्टि दें, सचमुच ऐसा लगता हम सागर के नीचे उतर गए। तो वो जगदीश भाई ने कहा कि वो मुझे भूलता नहीं है, ऐसा अनुभव कौन कराएगा। तो देखिए अभी सौरभ भाई ने जैसे बताया ड्रामा, तो कितना वंडरफुल ड्रामा है, दुनिया उसको ढूंढ रही है, वो भगवान हमें आके दृष्टि दे रहा है, हमें अनुभव करा रहा है। तो वो और कब हो सकता है। तो वो बाबा को अभी दुनिया कहती है कि वो तो अव्यक्त हो गए, लेकिन भाई जी भी कहते हैं कि वो तो हमारे साथ है, उनका प्यार हमारे साथ है, जितना ले सकते हैं।
We're just wrapping up. Let me see if there are others. They will say hello to you.
Are you on a meeting with someone?
Yeah, I'll just. Yeah. Om Shanti. Sorry, we just have guests here. Sisters Tao and Madok would like to say hello to everyone. Please come and say hello.
Hello. It's nice to
Hello, Om Shanti. Hello, Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Hello.
Thank you. Om Shanti,
Om,
everyone.
Om Shanti. Thank you, Saurabhai, for the wonderful
Thank
3
you.
days. And thank you so much. Today's class was beautiful, and it will help to play the role more effectively, being in soul consciousness. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Saurabhai.
Thank you. So we'll continue, Rajesh Ben. Om Shanti. Thank you.